At that time, in 1985, if you were a UP graduate, you didn't need a residency position to get your license. Actually, nung pagdating ko doon, 5 kami sa isang maliit na kwarto. Romero pa lang, talo na eh. We have to live with reality.
Yes, yes.
So,
Magandang araw po sa kanilang lahat. At ito na naman tayo sa exciting episodes of Season 2, The Sun Podcast. At isa nating bisita ngayong araw ay galing pa sa Estados Unidos. Tawag natin doon sa Amerika. Isa ho siyang medical practitioner from Long Island, New York, Dr. Bill Romero. Good evening.
good evening dito at salamat sa pag-anyaya mo sa akin dito.
Isang malaking karangalan ito para sa The Sun Podcast kasi gusto nating malaman ng ano ba talaga ang buhay sa land of milk and honey. Pagkatapos mong natapos ng pag-aaral ng medisina sa pamantasan ng Pilipinas ay dito ka napunta sa Amerika. How was it like when you started?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Kasi akala natin pagdating mo doon, madali ang buhay. Actually, nung pagdating ko doon, 5 kami sa isang maliit na kwarto.
Oh,
Titiis kami doon, mahirap, mahal, nagre-review kami sabay-sabay. At nung makahanap kami ng trabaho, doon pala kami naghiwa-hiwalay. Pero halos isa't kalahating taon magkakasama kami sa isang kwarto para makatipid lang.
you mean the review? Review for?
Yes, kasi ngayon iba na. Pero noong panahon noon, we had to take the ECFMG or the VQE, yun ang mga pangalan, Visa Qualifying Exam, and then finally the Flex. So what that means is that you need to prove that you're at par with U.S. graduates. And how did they do that? They had to give you an exam that would measure your knowledge of medicine and the practicalities of medicine. So that's why they gave you that visa qualifying exam. And if you pass that, then you might be able to get a residency position. It took me 1.5 years to get a residency position kasi nga mahirap eh. Funny thing was this, right? So nung nag-a-apply ako, tatawag ako, sasabihin ko yung pangalan ko, William Romero, walang dumarating na applications.
Because?
Romero pa lang, talo na eh.
Why is it so?
Kasi, ang gusto ng mga hospitals doon, puti ang... This is a reality. I know.
Yes.
We have to live with reality.
Yes, yes.
So sabi ng kaibigan ko, you know, first it's your last name, secondly it's your accent. So let me call them, sabi niya.
You have a better accent?
Amerikana siya eh. So, sabi niya, okay. She called and then I got a box full of applications.
Oh.
So, kita mo talaga na, I mean, you know, you can say it's unfair, but that's life in America.
But what if you don't qualify with the, for example, you don't make it the exam? How is there another way of?
Oh no, there's no other way. So a lot of our countrymen who go to the United States hoping that they could get a residency position, but if they didn't pass the exam, then they end up taking up, let's say, nursing or phlebotomy or other paramedical courses that would then at least align to their initial training.
That was then. How is it now?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing.
So it's not like you can do further studies in the United States?
Yeah, but it's so hard. Let's say, for example, you are an orthopedic surgeon in America. Okay. It doesn't mean you can practice as an orthopedic surgeon in America.
How come?
Well, the boards, you know, they don't recognize our training here. So which means if you're lucky enough to get an orthopedic surgery residency position, then you have to start from point A, first year, and repeat the whole process. So a lot of orthopedic surgeons who go there, for example, would end up taking up easier residency positions to find psychiatry, pediatrics, internal medicine, whatever they can find.
Let me go to this what we call medical tourism, because there are a lot of citizens of India who come here to study medicine.
Yes.
So meaning to say, our universities are recognized in India because when they go back, they can practice.
Yes.
But not the same as American, that they recognize our educational institutions. Is that correct?
Yes, so there are two definitions of medical tourism.
Okay.
The first one that you mentioned is that we are serving prospective medical students to come to our medical universities here or colleges
Yes.
and then study medicine. But actually, they're only after that certificate, the diploma of medicine, right? So now, let's say he's Dr. Raj from India. He got a certificate, a diploma from a medical school in the Philippines. Now, he goes to America and takes the exam. The exams are meant to disqualify you rather to qualify you. Yes, so the second definition of medical tourism is, you know, because it's cheaper to do surgeries, for example, facial surgeries here. People from rich countries, let's say Europe, Canada, America, they come to the Philippines. Actually, the Philippines is one, but Thailand is number one in medical tourism. And a lot of foreigners, they go to Thailand.
Yung retoke.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so now you were saying you were able to pass, but were there other challenges that you faced when you started your practice?
Well, of course, you have to. Okay, so let's say after I got my residency, I was able to apply. I started in pediatrics, actually. So I finished my 3 years of pediatrics, and then I wanted to go into fellowship. And I was very happy because I was the only one. I was the one who got the only position in pediatric gastroenterology in my hospital.
Wow.
It's prestigious, right?
Wow.
But then I was looking at the bulletin board, and then I saw two names for pediatric gastroenterology. So I was happy. I thought, you know, it would be easier for me. So one takes care of a few days, and I take care of the few days, and then it's going to be easier for us. Because when you're in fellowship, it's necessary for you to produce papers. Otherwise, you're a nobody, right?
Which you need to present.
The researchers, yes.
Okay.
Peer-reviewed papers. So, but then I realized the other person who was accepted was an American graduate, which meant they gave her a special deal to go into that position, but she wasn't going to be required to do scut work. Scut work means going to the emergency room, doing this, running after patients. So she was going to do research while I do the scut work.
Oh, wow.
So I went to our program director and I said, Dr. Inamdar, I don't think this is fair. And she was saying, no, this is the way it is. You know, we need her to lift up the prestige of the hospital. We need an American graduate. Dr. Inamdar, I said, I'm tired of being trampled on. So long story short, I left the program.
Wow.
Yes. And the funny thing is, I realized after a few years, she also left the program.
Oh, I see. So, and then what happened? I mean, that must have been very difficult for you to do.
Yes. So I came out, luckily, because I was a UP graduate. At that time, in 1985, if you were a UP graduate, you didn't need a residency position to get your license. So even while I was a resident, I could already practice outside. So I moonlighted during weekends seeing patients. But so when I finished my pediatric residency, a cousin who was an internist invited me to join her practice. So right away from residency, I went into private practice.
Okay. And how long did that happen? I mean, what made your choice? You could say that I made it.
No, it was going to be many years after.
Many years after.
So the practice we had then was mostly government payment insurance practice. So there was a lot of patients for little pay. So I did that from 1988 to 1990 or 1992, when unfortunately I had a series of spinal surgeries because I was born with a spinal stenosis. So every time I had surgeries, I would be out for 2 months. So I said, yeah. So a series of 5 surgeries. And then I decided I can't do this anymore. It's hard, you know. I had to commute from Long Island to my practice in Brooklyn. It took me 1 hour on a good day, 2 hours on a snowy day. So I said, let me go back. You know, I was living in Dix Hills on Long Island then. So in 1992, I decided to move to Long Island. And then in about 2000, after commuting for almost 8 years, I said, you know what, can't do this anymore. I started a practice on Long Island. That's how I ended up on Long Island.
In terms of technology sharing, a few days ago, I was having breakfast with another medical practitioner, and he's a cardiothoracic surgeon.
Right.
And he was talking to me about the certain advances in the field in the United States. Which country do you think is like the one that really promotes, you know, improving the technology and how to share it? Is there such a program?
Meaning sharing of technology?
Yes.
Well, ideally, doctors should share information, but technology is something else. It could be, you know, under a patent or something. But technology is very fast. Like, for example, a radiology, right? The radiologist can be in Australia and be reading your X-ray because of digitalization.
Okay.
So, but if you're thinking of advances in medicine, there's a lot of scoping now, arthroscopy, endoscopy. When my mother had her gallbladder surgery, they had to open up her abdomen completely.
Why is there a copy at the end? Endoscopy.
You know, endoscopy. Because it's scope, you know, scope.
I see. So you heard that, something I learned today, that's when you have a copy at the end, you're using a scope.
A scope, yes.
I see. So now, go back to the question. What made you feel at home in the United States? How you talked about the discrimination,
right,
and all that, yet you did not just let it, you know, happen to you. You actually quit.
Well,
the fellowship.
Very interesting question, Tito. I don't think Filipinos really feel completely at home in the United States, and that's why we keep coming home. This is our home. No, I don't think there's any other culture that says, I'm going to go home to the Philippines, and yet their house is in New York. So it's here where we feel at home. As I tell people, home is where you are loved, right? You can be comfortable in the United States, New York, you have all the amenities, but where are you truly loved? And we feel we are loved more in Sapang Maruguli, in Tarlac City, than in their house. I don't even know our neighbors.
Okay.
I mean, we know them by name. We see them. We say hi. I see them take out the garbage. When I take out the garbage, but that's the extent of our relationship.
I see. Yeah. So there's not like, do you have extra vinegar? Can I drive you to school or to your work?
To a certain extent, though. But in fact, case in point, you know, I had a few trees that I wanted to give away instead of throwing them away. I went to my neighbor and I said, oh, you know, I have these extra trees that I can give you. He was like crouched on the grass and planting something. Didn't even look at me. So I said, all right. I mean, I didn't say all right, but I got the point. He didn't want to talk to me. So, I mean, when you say how comfortable it is to, in the Philippines, in America, yes, there's luxury. You have Amazon, you order it at 8 o'clock at night. It's going to be at your doorstep at 8 in the morning. But there's more to life than all of these material things that we enjoy.
Yet you find yourself coming back home.
Oh, yes.
And what is your reason for, aside from being at home or feeling you are home,
yes,
that you come back to the Philippines every so often?
Oh, thank you for asking that. But I became a doctor because my parents sold their farms and sent their children to school.
Oh.
Yes, so what I did was, with my wife, we bought farms in Tarlac that were developing into a farm, you know, and at the same time honor my parents. So I named it Segun Rosa Farms after my father was Segundo and my mother was Rosalina. So we have about 10 to 12, up to 20 employees at one time, depending on the needs. And
Wow.
by helping these these farmers times four, whatever number of family members they have, then we're able to help. We have profit sharing with them. We have bonuses, summer and Christmas bonuses. And every time we have anything that we can give, we give them. But the point is this. Farmers are not able to sustain their farms anymore.
Yeah.
Crude oil is expensive if you don't have irrigation. Fertilizer is expensive. Spare parts of your equipment are expensive. So they end up losing money and owning more than when they started farming. So if you look around my farm, we're the only one that's green. The rest is just abandoned farms.
What's the difference?
Well, I am able to sustain it. I lose money sustaining this farm, but then, how many people can sustain a farm that's losing money? It's basically to help people with their livelihood. And at the same time, we are greening the farm. We are planting a lot of traditional lumber wood, lawan, nara, mangkono. We just planted 1,000 pili nuts with 1,000 cacaos. We're about to plant. We have lakatan from Davao. We ordered thousands of lakatan bananas cultured from. So we will totally cover this farm with greeneries and.
Okay, but so it's more of giving back, but it's supposed to make money. It's supposed to be a business.
Yes.
You're supposed to produce, and
Yes.
the produce you could also give back, and you're providing employment,
Yes.
and probably teaching them new things.
Yes.
Having spent time in the U.S., the culture is different.
Right. So I call it giving fish while teaching them how to fish. We are sustaining them while they're learning about vermiculture. We teach them composting. We teach them fertilizer technology. In fact, a lot of our friends in the Upsilon help us with their agricultural know-how.
I see.
So why am I losing money here? It could be that it's still a learning curve. We're still early in the game. It's about 7 years old. There are times when we earn some money when the price of palay is high, but sometimes it goes down. Our cost per 50 kilo palay is 22 pesos. I don't know. I don't know how to compare that with other farms, but I have calculated it's 22 pesos.
Yeah.
But sometimes per kilo, it almost drops to, there was a time, 8, 10, 12, 15 pesos per kilo.
That's correct. I used to market rice from Tarlac.
Oh, okay.
And that situation has never improved. Maybe that's why I was saying now we should eat kamote instead of rice. But going back,
Right.
now you're giving back.
Yes.
Sort of, the cycle, how you were able to finish your education and then going to the United States, practicing, and then now you're back into farming and
Yes.
even calling it in honor of your mother and father. But what else drives you now? Are you thinking of leaving the United States completely, or is there still practice in the United States for you?
Yes. Okay. Well, I still have to practice to sustain this farm.
Okay.
So I am, when they say full-time employment, that's 40 hours a week. So I have cut down to 20 hours a week. So to allow me to travel and see, and do the things that I want. And in fact, we were able to come home 4 times last year.
Wow.
Because of this reduction in my workload. Eventually, I'll be spending half of the year in the U.S. and then half of the year here in the Philippines, and I'll be able to help more.
For those who are intending to practice medicine in the United States, is it still viable? I heard Australia doctors are having a better deal than in the United States.
Right. But anyway, so it's only the crème de la crème that really gets to the United States now. It's very hard to get there, especially when Eastern Europe was open to the United States. Remember, there was a time when, before the Cold War, the Eastern Europeans, the Croatians, the Ukrainians, and other Eastern Europeans, doctors couldn't come to America. But now they are able to come to America, which means there's so much more competition among
us.
Among applicants, intending to practice in America. Yeah.
And our color, we're brown. They're white.
Yes. That is true.
Okay. But the thing there is, you're having your practice in the United States, and whatever it is that you share, you give back here in the Philippines through farming. Eventually, I suppose you want this farm to produce and probably turn the tide around.
Yes. Right.
And help the Americans over there. Maybe. Yeah,
I know. It's idealistic. It's a dream. That's why we call it a dream. Hopefully, I'm able to realize that dream of someday having a farm that's making money at the same time, helping farmers in my area.
When you left for the United States, you were single.
Yes.
And then, how is it like having a relationship and then having a practice in the United States?
Life in America is hectic. I remember I would go to work. Back then, there was no limit on how much a resident could practice. We were, to work. We were on call for 72 hours. You come home, you're so tired, and then you have a baby. I remember one time I woke up and there was a baby on my chest, and I forgot that I put my baby on my chest.
Man, that happens to all husbands.
To all husbands, yeah.
To all fathers, yeah.
Right. So there was one time I was on duty in the emergency room, and I opened my eyes, and there was a mother and a child in front of me. Mm-hmm. And then after 2 seconds, I realized I was interviewing a mother and a child in the emergency room. Mm-hmm. So then I said, I fell asleep. I said to the mother and said, yes, doctor, you fell asleep. You look so tired. I said, why didn't you wake me up? I didn't have the heart to wake you up. But now there's the 𝗪𝗪𝗪 law. It's, there's a limitation on how much and how long a resident can work. Ideally, I think it's only 24 hours, but they say a lot of hospitals go beyond that 24 hours.
That's good. That's very good. Because now there's a study on how many hours can you be effective?
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's correct. So the basis of comparison, practice there, practice here. Mm-hmm. Is there a
Oh, yes. Okay.
No, without offending anyone.
Right. No, but they say, this is the thing. Would you rather be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond?
Yeah.
So here, when you're here, you're respected, and So it is a quality of life that you're after. Here you come home and the house is clean, and then the garden is watered, and the garbage is out in the street.
Yes.
There, after work, you have to cook. If you have to cook, you have to wash the dishes, you have to take out the garbage, you have to plow the snow if there's snow. And then finally, hopefully by 10 or 11 o'clock, you would be able to take a shower and go to bed.
So that's how it is. But I suppose you become more healthy if you do some physical exercise too, like housework, right?
That's right.
And did you ever feel that you made the wrong decision?
Sometimes, yes. But in general, I said I made the right decision because at this point, I am able to help more because I am there. I'm able to have extra money that I am able to donate to charity, and again, some relatives who need help, and again, the farm.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why you are loved also here. So anyway, being a medical practitioner, health is, I think, very important.
Right.
How much do the Filipinos value health, and how do you think the government and even private practitioners are they charging so high, or are there more people healthy now, or what is the trend of
It's relative, right? The problem is this: dollar for dollar, it's cheaper here, but the ability to pay that even in the Philippines is so, it's so much harder for the regular Filipino to afford. You can say it's only $50, but in Philippine money, but that $50 is still a lot of money, 2,500 for the regular person. So it's the ability to come up with the money to get that health, health care.
Do we need more doctors?
I think we need a better distribution of doctors.
What do you mean by that?
Well, most of our doctors are in the metropolitan Manila, with the cities like, let's say, Cebu, Dagupan, Baguio, because that's where people who can pay. But how many doctors are there, let's say, in the hinterlands of the Philippines?
And is that one of the reasons why you left? Because you didn't think you could practice and profitably, so to speak.
Right. Well, at that time, because my parents were, citizens, they were petitioned by my sister.
Okay.
I actually practiced in Baguio for a while, but it was hard. There was no patients to see, and people could hardly afford medical care. So then I said, you know what? Let me leave for the United States and try my luck there.
So here we are, Dr. Bill Romero, who has been practicing in the United States for quite some time, and decided to plant and be a farmer and have 20 employees. And you've been there for how many years?
7 years now.
Which is being financed by his practice in the United States. And I think it's a crazy idea. But the crazy ideas are the ones that help people more.
Yes.
We need to go out. And such a philanthropic act of yours.
Yes.
Because you don't need to. Right? You can just vacation, go buy a share in a resort in the Philippines and have a vacation, but you decided to plant.
Well, you know what? What drives us is the appreciation of the people. There was one Christmas, and my wife and I gave a really nice, what do you call this, oven heaters to a lot of people. Wow. Really nice gifts. Nobody ever said thank you. So it's not appreciated. But here, they appreciate you. They love you. They try to, please you in the sense that, you help us, so we would like to help you feel comfortable. And we want to know how we can make your stay here comfortable. So it is that makes us come home as often as we could.
So this is our home, and we have doctors who bring home not just bacon, but also more love to the fellow Filipinos.
Yes.
So this is, that's why sabi nga nila sa tourism, love the Philippines.
Yes.
Because here you are loved.
Yes.
So now, maraming salamat sa iyo, Dr. Bill.
Yeah.
And we hope and pray that all those trees, all those crops that you're planted will bear a lot more fruit.
Yes.
Because I believe that you don't intend to bring it to the United States. You intend to probably grow more.
Yes.
Enlarge your farm, bring more people, and help probably become a doctor. Yung mga anak nitong mga farmers mo.
Right. Diba? Home is where you are loved, and that is how we feel. When we come home, we have relatives that travel from Batangas, Cavite, Manila, just to see us. We appreciate that very much, and we love it very much.
So thank you, Dr. Bill.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, and see you on our next episode.
Thank you.